Friends, how are you doing today? As you have seen, I have posted, you know, yesterday, Core Java Part 1 and Part 2, that is for beginners level. It's a beginners level for those who want to teach themselves. But now I'm just recording this video for people who are getting interviewed, so that they can easily track their job interview. So there is some tricky interview questions and the solution, the answer. We're gonna do this along with coding examples. Yeah. So there are, let me open this. Okay, here. Okay. There are some very interesting questions. The first question we're going to deal is in Java and core Java. There is a double equal and also there is equals. Equals, just equals. What is the difference between these two? What is the difference? What is the difference of these two? What is the difference between these two? So this is very big question. It's very big question. Every Java interviewer has favorite. Yeah. Equal to and equals. So what is the difference? For this, this, we call it is, okay. Actually, this equal to equal is a shallow comparison. A shallow comparison. It is a shallow comparison. It's a shallow comparison. What do we mean when we say shallow? Yeah, it is a shallow comparison. So that means this is object. It compares. It actually compares the two object reference. If they are referring to the same object or not. Okay, the other point for this equal to is, this point is very, very, it compares, it compares the two object references. Object references. It compares the two object references, whether, if they point to the same object or not. If they point to the same object. To the same object or not. So that is very important point. But equals is different. Equals is different. Okay, let's see equals. most of the time dot equals or equals. These equals, equals is very different. Equals is very different. So which is, we said this one, shallow comparison, right? This is very deeper comparison. As deeper comparison, and the other point is for this, for equals, it is, it's not shallow, it's deeper comparison. It compares, it compares actual string values, it compares the actual, it compares the string values. So that's different from the other, from the shallow one. It's very different from the shallow one. Okay, we'll see this 1 minute. We'll see using, example. We are going to see this with example. Okay. Yeah, I think this is very clear, right? It's clear comparison. This compares two values, but this compares reference, in short. Values, references. So, for instance, if we are, okay, let's go to our Eclipse and see some examples for comparing these. Okay, let me open Eclipse. Do we have any class? Okay, main class. Yeah, we can use this main class. Okay, we can use this main class. So, for instance, let me create this main class. Let's see. String A1 or string A is equal to, just string A is equal to string com. String A is equal to com. Just any string, and string, a string B. String B is equal to, use a new keyword, new string, A. If we say this new string, and if we say this A, you see, this is new, it's actual new, but we are bringing this A, string A, here. And then string C is equal to the same CAM. CAM. Okay, now let's compare. So which one is equal to, and which one is equal to. So how do we compare this? For instance, system dot out dot println, system dot out dot println, a system dot println a, okay, class and equals, say equals. Now we are comparing, equals. And also, let's concatenate this again. Let's concatenate this with B, right? B plus equals, B plus. So how do you see this? So if we say this, okay, then this is just space. And plus A dot equals. You see here, equals is already here, right? A dot equals C, but let's see B. Let's compare this with B. And let's see whether it is true or false. Okay, how do you think? You see, string A is CAM, string B, new string A, and string C, CAM, same CAM, the content. This A is reference, B is reference, C is reference. CAM is, the content, the value, the content, right? This is the true value. This is new string A. New string A is also CAM, but it is new. So it is equals. Do you think this is true or false? A and B. It's A and B. A dot equals. A dot equals. So A is CAM and B is, the reference, right? Comparing reference and what? Is it true or false? Let's run this. Okay, CAM equals true. See? Here there is we have to concatenate actually. Here, let me make this point. And also let me make this point like this. Okay, now let's print now. CAM equals CAM. This is CAM, right? The content. CAM is the content, right? And here A, the value of the reference A is also CAM. It came here. So equals, it compares just the value, not reference, but values. It's a deep. This is deep comparison, equals, or A dot equals A and B. It's comparing what? Not reference, it's comparing the value. So the value of A here is, see A. And the value of A here is CAM. So it's comparing here the value. So in terms of the values, it is true. The comparison is true. It's equals. Okay? CAM equals CAM. True. So CAM, A dot equals is, A dot equals B is also, CAM. This is CAM, this equals is CAM. Also, this is also CAM. So it is comparing two objects, value, content. And that's why it is true. So according to our definition here, here, this equals. Now we are dealing with this equals. Deeper comparison, it compares the actual string values. Don't forget these values, content. The content, the value, the object. Not that it is not shallow. Like this equal. It's not shallow, equal. Okay, let's see the other. Okay, now let's comment this and see the other from the same code. Yeah, we're gonna see, okay, system. Yeah, instead of writing another code, let me just copy this. Control C, Enter V, right? And here it's the same, but here equal to equal. Instead of equals, just say level equal. Yeah, equal. Plus B is the same. It is the same. And here is the same. And here A dot, here what you have to do is, okay, A equal to B equal to P. Maybe a third image. Okay, what do you think about this? Now we are comparing equal. You see, equal. The same A and B. You see the above code. It is the same to this code. The same to this code, but we are comparing not with A dot equals or equals, but we are comparing with equal. You see, equal. This is shallow. But what is gonna this code give? Let's run this code. Let's see. CAM equal to false. Why? Why false? Because it's comparing the values. It's comparing, this code compares values. It is true for this, right? For equals, it is true. For equals, it is true. But for equal, it is false. Why? It's not comparing references here. This code, Bose code is, Bose, the same code, but here it is false, right? That's what we see, right? Okay, let me show you again. CAM equal, CAM false. Here it is false. But this one is true, right? Let me comment this and run the first one. The first one is true. Why? Because it is dot equals or equals. Okay, let me, you see, come equals come true. In case of A, it is true, but in case of B, in case of this, the second code equal to, it is false. Why? This code compares the values, not the reference. Is it clear? Not reference. That is why it is in this one, because dot equals compares values, right? Because it is values, it is true. But here it is like references, but it compares values. Because of that, it is false. Okay, this come and this come. Okay, now let's see another third. Okay, let me again. Okay, copy. Control V. But let me comment this code. And let's see the third code. Here, the same A and equal. Okay, instead of to just let's say equal. Here, equal. And instead of just let us say C. You see this one, C is this, right? String C. C is come, string A is come, you see? And okay, then here is here, okay, let me A not equals, but equal. Here is equal C, not B, but C. Okay, in this case, what do you think is this? What do you think is this? You see here, string A is reference. This reference comparing come. This is also reference comparing, the reference. A reference, C reference. A and C are this equals. Must be true, right? Okay, let me run this code. You see, come equal to come true. That's true. This is shallow comparing. These two are deeper comparing, deeper comparing, but this is false. The second one is false. This is true. Okay, this is true. This is false. And this is true. Okay. Yeah, this is a wonderful example, especially as we compare. This is a very, very important question. Guys, you have to practice this for any Java interview. For any Java interview. This, okay, the other question we are gonna deal is so this from the string questions, this is very, very important string question. The other question always, always find is why string class has been made immutable in Java. Why is string class? Why is string class immutable? Immutable is not changeable, unchangeable. So why? What is the reason? Immutability is, no one can change string class once you set it. For instance, if your variables are final, then you are not going to change that value. This is not, so any string is not changeable. It's different from others. Why? The other thing is, when no one can modify as wanted. Modifying, changing string is impossible. It's good for performance. It is good for performance. So the memory perform really good. So for the performance, it is good. Another thing is it's thread safe. What do we mean thread safe? It's not gonna be for thread safety. These are the two reasons why string class is immutable. It's thread safety. So when we say performance, yeah. So if you need an object, if you need different value, you create a different object, right? In Java. For instance, if you need a different value, then create a different object in Java. So it is very important, For instance, the value of abstract data, value objects, generated types, etc. These are, very ideal. These are very ideal. If you need a different value, create a different object in Java. Like, for instance, integer, long, character, float, big integer, big decimal, and all immutable objects. Yeah. So when you make strategy for optimization, it is very important, like strategies like caching of hash code, caching of objects, caching of hash code, object proofing, etc., can be very easily applied to improve performance. If strings were made mutable, then it is problem. String pooling would not be possible, as changing the string with one reference will lead to the wrong value for the other reference. So it is very, for performance, this way it is very important. In terms of thread safety, immutable objects are inherently thread safe. They cannot be modified once created. They can only be used as read-only objects. Read-only objects. They can easily be shared among multiple threads for better scalability. So better scalability. So it's very, very important for thread safety, and for this, it is very important. So the other question The other interview question in Java. What is the difference between these questions? Also, they always ask you. Understood? So in Java, why the keywords, or what can you say? What is the purpose of the keywords? The keywords like final, finally, finally, and finalize. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of this? Actually, this is very common interview question. Final. Final, it makes a variable. That makes a variable reference not changeable. The variable reference are not gonna be changeable. They are gonna be constant. Final makes unchangeable. Variable reference are not gonna be changed, or makes a method not overridable. And also it makes a class not inheritable. The superclass, the child class is not gonna inherit from the superclass when you are using this final word or keyword. Also, in case of variable reference, the reference are not changeable. For instance, variable int x is equal to 5, then you cannot change this value anytime. You cannot change it if you use final. Final int x is equal to 5. For instance, let me show you in code. The method actually, this is just, if you say like final int x is equal to 10. You cannot change this. You see final. Throughout the code, you cannot change this value. You cannot, you never can change these variables. It's constant. It's you cannot change it because of the word final, the keyword of final. So the variables, it makes the variables reference not changeable. And also it makes the method not overridable. The methods not overridable, and also makes a class not inheritable. You have class, superclass, or you have parent class, then you have the child class. The child class inherits the superclass, right? All the behaviors, all the properties of the superclass can be inherited by child class, right? You don't have to create other, methods, or, it just overrides. Inherits. It inherits, right? But when you are using for class final, you are not gonna inherit that class. No way, you cannot inherit that class. So this is what about the final? This is what about finally? Finally, actually, finally is used in a try-catch statement for handling error exception. in exception handling environment, you know. So even when exception is thrown, finally block is executed. Why? The purpose is different. It's not to handle the error, right? Finally, the finally word is the finally keyword's purpose is not handling the exception, but it is other purpose. It's used to close non-memory resources, right? Like file handles, sockets, databases, connections, etc. Especially till Java 7, it helps to close this. Now after this is no longer true in Java 7, but auto-closable is being implemented now. So Java 7 has introduced the auto-closable interface to avoid the slightly try-catch, finally try-catch blocks to close a resource. So it also prevents potential resource leaks due to not properly closing a resource sometimes, That's why, we use this auto-closable. It is deprecated actually. It's deprecated, but auto-closable is being implemented these days after starting from Java 7. In Java 8 also we have another, I'm not gonna confuse you with after Java 7, after Java 8 also. Its purpose is to close or to clear, to make the things clear, right? To make it clear for clearance purpose. Even itself try, auto-closable these days. Also, it's very important interface. So its purpose is auto-closable statements is also very important for clearance. It's for clearance. So, but what about finalize? The other word, that third word, finalize. This word is finalize. So what is the purpose of this finalize? It's JVM figures out that an objects need to be garbage collected. You rarely need to override it, right? So it should not be used to release non-memory resources like file handles, sockets, database connections, etc. Because systems have only a finite numbers of these resources, and you do not know when the garbage collection, GC, right? GC is going to kick in the relieve these non-memory resources through the finalize method. This is a finalize method. So the finalize is also applicated from Java 9, from Java 9 onwards. Here should not be used actually, right? So final and finally are used very frequently in your Java code, but this the modifier finalize is it's very hardly, or even you can say never used. Yeah, it has been deprecated from Java 9 onwards, so you don't have to worry a lot about this. On Java, garbage collection, you have lots of things to read in Java garbage collection environment. So we have, maybe let me add one more very common question, and then we'll move to, we'll finish our today's session. Um, oh, there are actually multiple questions if we do. Um, uh, what is, okay, I think this question is interesting. It's a good question. It's also being asked, what is the difference between constructor and methods? So what is the difference? What's the difference between constructor and methods? Constructors and methods. So this is a very interesting question. Usually constructors, the constructors, they name at the class name. They are similar at the class name. What does that mean? For instance, here, if I say, this here, you cannot, okay, let me, okay, create another class here. Let me create another class here, class employee, for instance. Employee class employee. Okay. Here, if we are creating constructors here, let me just generate constructors. Okay. How do we generate? Go to source, and we haven't, let me just have one field, say string. Oh, one field, just string. Let me define just one field. You can say private string name. Okay. Now let's create constructors. Let's generate constructors here. We can go to source and generate constructors. We have only one field, name. Okay, generate. See here. Super. This is constructor. Okay, you see here. Let me do. Okay, what we said, constructors, constructors must have the same name as the class name, right? Class name. You see, class employee. When you see here public employee, the same, right? Class name and constructor name. This is constructor. This is constructor. This is constructor. Just I'm giving you an example. We have generated constructor, but the name is the same with the class name employee. This is one of the difference, but the method is not the same as, it's not the same. It's not the same to the class name. So that's one difference, right? And also it cannot return a value, right? It cannot return a value. Constructor is constructor, not return a value. What do we mean? You are not returning value. But here, if you create a method, public int, or any okay, let's say public string name, right? Code. This is method. Yeah. I mean, this is method. You see this method? It can return this method return value. Add return statement here, You see? Now the error is gone. This is a method. This is constructor, this is a method. Okay? This is a method. This is a method. This is constructor. Constructor have no return value. Okay, that's the difference. No return value. But the method has return value. You see here, return name. You can return. This is a method. Method has return value. Constructor has no return value. Okay, that is another difference. What is the first difference I told you? Constructors takes the same name of class. They have the same name of class. Employee. But methods have not the same name. You see? Not the same name. Method call is different from employee, right? It's different. And method has return value. This is return value. It return value, but constructor doesn't have return value. See the difference? These are very good, example. I gave you example. If these examples are clear, you can just give them this, give them this method. You can write this method and constructor, and can define the difference. What I defined here is class employee, same name, with constructor employee, the same name. But in terms of method, they don't have the same name. That's the first difference. The second difference is method returns value, but constructors doesn't return value. These are two big difference. Okay? Very big difference here. When you create constructors, you just call only one. On the, when you create a constructors, you just called once, just per creation of an object. But with methods, it is different. With these constructors, just, the constructors are called only once per creation of an object. Whenever you create an object, you call a constructor. Whenever you call an object, whenever you create an object, you call what? You call a constructor. That's another difference. But the regular method cannot be called many times. Sorry, methods can be called many times, not once. But regular methods can be called many times. Even for per class, you call many methods. Even in one class, you can have many methods, right? And also in another class, in child class also, you can have many methods. So whenever you create an object, can be called many times. But in terms of constructors, the constructors are called only once per creation of an object. That's the difference. But regular methods can be called many times. Example for per class. So regular methods can have any name and can be called any number of times and return values, right? Whereas constructors, they are called only once per creation of an object, and also they take the same name of the class, that is one, and also they are not returning value. Just hold these three difference. If you give them good example from coding perspective, then you are fine. So this is just very tricky three questions, and it helps you a lot if you master these questions and understand well and answer. And good luck in your interview. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Now, let's okay, let's complete here. Thank you.